The Northman is the third film from director Robert Eggers and was released this Friday. I saw it yesterday. Didn't get around to filming a review yesterday. Sorry about that. But yeah, I was really excited for this movie, just like everybody else. I'm not as in love with Robert Eggers' work as some other people. I've actually only seen bits and pieces of The Lighthouse. I've never fully checked it out. Not for any particular reason. Not because like, oh, that looks terrible, or oh, I hate Robert Eggers. No. I just, it's one of those movies that's just kind of has eluded me. I haven't seen it. But The Witch, where is it? It's right here. This is one of my favorite horror movies from the past decade. I think it's one of the best examples of that elevated, like, A24 horror movies. Really do dig this movie. And, like, I don't want to say, like, me saying I'm not as in love with Robert Eggers' work as some other people just means he's not one of my favorite directors. That's all that means. I really respect the man, and I adore the two movies that I have now seen from him fully. This movie, which I'll get into my thoughts on later, and The Witch, I fully love. And the bits and pieces that I have seen from The Lighthouse, I really do enjoy. And who knows, that movie could be a masterpiece, and I just haven't seen it yet. I'm just saying that he's not on that, like, the like my top 5, like a lot of other people's are. That's all I'm saying to that extent. I love Robert Eggers. I love what he does with his filmmaking. I love that he's pushing the boundaries of mainstream filmmaking and implementing more indie and kind of weirder aspects of filmmaking into, you know, more mainstream movies, and getting more and more people exposed to these kinds of more metaphorical, more allegorical movies, which I think is great. Obviously not every movie has to be like that, but there's a time and a place for it, and I think Robert Eggers is that time, is that person, is that place. If that makes any sense to you guys. I know sometimes my ramblings at the beginning can be a little confusing, but yeah, that's my thoughts on Robert Eggers. I am a pretty big fan. I like his work a lot, and I was very curious what he was going to do with this budget, with this amount of studio backing. Obviously, his first 2 movies were made through A24. They were smaller scale. They weren't as massive as The Northman is, or The Northman, however you pronounce it. I'm going to say The Northman just because that's what I've been saying, but it is The Northman. But yeah, I was very curious as what he was going to do with this size and scope, and I was just really excited for this movie. It looked great. Honestly, I fully expected this movie to be phenomenal. And yeah, The Northman gave me exactly what I wanted from this movie. I'm not going to say it was disappointing, because it wasn't at all. Like, this was great. The Northman was phenomenal. Easily one of the best movies of the year so far. But I kind of expected that. Everything that I wanted from this movie, it gave to me. And that's nice. It's honestly nice when a movie gives me exactly what I wanted it to be when I'm expecting it to be phenomenal. That rarely ever comes when a movie I'm expecting to be really great delivers on every aspect on what I want it to be great at. The Northman is a huge example of the contrary to that. It checks all the boxes that I wanted it to check. It does everything I wanted it to do, and even a little bit more. It has sweepingly epic scope. I wrote that down in my notes. What I mean by that is this movie is gigantic. It's still a very contained story. Like, it's not something as epic and as grand as, say, like The Green Knight from last year. It's not like this huge. Actually, no, it is pretty comparable to The Green Knight. It's not like Lord of the Rings. I'll say that. It's not like anything like that. It's drawn a lot of comparisons, weirdly enough, to The Lion King, which I understand. I fully get that the story aspects of it are maybe a little derivative of The Lion King, but honestly, it's like a story that has been told through generations. You know, it's like an old folk tale. It's a very basic story structure. So I'm not going to fault this movie for having some similarities to The Lion King. But anyway, the scope is huge here, and I really think that was the best way to go here. Having this very minimalist story, this very simple plot, this very human story, this very character-driven story, and making it this grand, sweeping thing that crosses generations and has so many different plot points going on and has all these things that's juggling them very, very well. This movie handles all of its concepts and all of its weird metaphors and all of its like Eggers-isms, I'm going to call them, very, very, very well. The camera work is easily the best in any of his films. The camera work in this movie is so phenomenally great. If this doesn't win for cinematography, there is no hope left in this world, because holy shit, The Northman was so beautifully shot. I mean, I cannot sing the praises enough for this movie's. The look of this movie is flawless. I mean, absolutely flawless. Every shot could be every frame's a painting. Not to reference the YouTube channel or anything, but every frame in this movie is an absolute painting. It is beautiful, and honestly, I could go back and just look at the shots from this movie and just be amazed all over again. All the performances also feel really honed in and well directed. None of them stick out except for one, which I'll say in a little bit. None of them stick out as being like, oh, that was kind of a little more eccentric than everybody else. That was a little more, I don't know, different than other people's. Everyone was on the same wavelength, I think, and everyone was more so trying to, I don't know, be the characters, not the actors. There is some movies where a couple of actors will try to push themselves instead of the story, and yeah, they'll have a good performance, but the story will suffer as a result. This movie, everyone is honed in, everyone is doing their job exceptionally well, but also not pushing the boundary too much to where they're overcompensating, if that makes any sense. There's no like chewing up the scenery or like obvious like moments where it's like, oh yeah, he was great in that movie, he did this. Everyone does their job so specifically well that I think they all complement each other. And Anna Taylor-Joy, she was so good in this movie. I mean, something about her performance felt effortless, and I think she fit into this realm so easily. And so did Alexander Skarsgård. He was also just fantastic in this movie. Really, really played a really good hero, and not the best hero. Like that's the best. That's another thing I love about this movie. It's not a story about good people. Almost nobody in this movie is what you would call a great person, or at the very least, you can see them doing horrible things. And I like that it doesn't ever pull any punches for the sake of like sympathy points, for the sake of maybe we need to have this character be a little more sympathetic. This. Like the certain twists and turns that happen towards the end also really do a good job of this, of showing it's not realism, but the brutality of this kind of hero's journey. How much this will take out of a person, and how, like, I don't know, how brutal these things were back in the day, how really violent and kind of disgusting Viking culture was, and how it's just stuff like that, like old, like the Middle Ages, the culture then, how just brutal and violent and unforgiving it was, and how everything was about just violence, basically. There's a lot of violence in this movie. I'm kind of talking in circles a little bit. I lost my train of thought a little bit. Sorry, I got a little tongue-tied there. What I'm trying to say is this movie does not pull any punches when it comes to showing the brutality and the true nature of this kind of story, and how almost no one was a good person in this plot, and how just how brutal Middle Ages times could be. So that's all I was trying to say there. It did a really good job of not pulling any punches and going for broke with the brutality and the darkness in this movie. And also, the script was just immensely airtight. It really didn't leave room for any filler whatsoever, I thought. I really think it just told the story it needed to tell, and had the scenes that were necessary. There was no fluff. There was no extra, like, weirdness in the movie, which, I mean, there is, and I'm going to get to it in a little bit with my negatives, but there felt a lot less, it felt a lot more focused this time around than some of Eggers' other work. It feels a lot more straightforward and streamlined, and I like that a lot. But obviously, it's not like this this isn't a Disney movie or anything. It's not super. There's still weird metaphorical stuff. It's still very artsy, stuff like that. But I think it's definitely the most straightforward story and script that Eggers has ever written. I think he wrote this movie. And I think that it was a good choice for especially this story. And it's just basically the Northman is a, I want to say I wrote down a seminar in good filmmaking, because this movie is just good filmmaking. It is incredible filmmaking at its finest. It's has some of the best direction, camera work, writing, acting, lighting, sets, you name it. It's all in here, and it's phenomenal. And I just fell head over heels for this movie. I think it is a movie that I can maybe not rewatch all the time, but come back to and just immerse myself in its universe and really, I don't know, just lose yourself in this like realm, as I keep saying. It is very much akin to like these kinds of video games. It reminded me a lot of God of War for some reason. And that same feeling that I got while playing through it, where you just immerse yourself in the lore and the universe, and I really did enjoy it for that. This movie is really, really phenomenal. The only flaw I have with it is there were some strange moments that kind of took you out. This happens with all of Robert Eggers' movies. There are moments where it's just like, I didn't feel like that needed to be in there. That there was no metaphor there. There was nothing clever going on. It was just kind of stupid. And there are moments like that here that can get bothersome, but honestly, it's not that big of a deal. It's not going to make or break this movie for you. If you know what kind of movies Robert Eggers makes, you like them, you're going to love The Northman, and so did I. I'm going to give The Northman a strong A-. Really did love this movie. It's just the weird moments really can throw you off sometimes, and it's not quite on the level as like The Witch. And maybe The Lighthouse, I don't know. But it's not quite on that level, but it's still really phenomenal, and movie I really recommend. Please, everybody, go see The Northman, if you weren't already planning on it. So yeah, that's my review of The Northman. What did you guys think of it? Let me know in the comments. Let me know what else you want to see me review. I don't know if I should see The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. I'm kind of debating on whether or not to see it. I want to see it, but I don't know. I might just wait until it's on VOD. And then I have a triple review of 3 Netflix movies that I've missed over the past couple of weeks coming out very soon. And other than that, yeah, I'll see you guys later.